Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be sharing with you my December setup. I am super excited to share this video with you because I felt inspired before I even started painting. I wanted this month's theme to be centered around a Christmas market. I know it's too early for some people to even think about Christmas, but for me, I'm someone who really enjoys and appreciates the decor of each season. And among all the seasons, I really enjoy in the winter the Christmas decor and festivities. And how I feel is clearly seeping into my artwork as we are in this video diving into something Christmassy very, very early. I hope that through this video you'll be able to feel cozy like how I felt setting up this entire month's spreads, and that you'll also feel some of the Christmas magic that I was enjoying the whole time. So for my cover page, I spent quite a lot of time on the skies as I was still wanting to practice my blending. In my mind, I had the idea of having a dark blue to light blue transition in the sky from top to bottom, with the bottom being layered by various clouds and to give off a kind of misty feel. I felt like this kind of blue and white combination perfectly captures the kind of winter night where you can enjoy a cup of hot chocolate, walk around a Christmas market, or just be spending time with loved ones. It gives off a kind of cold, crisp weather on the outside, but warm and fuzzy on the inside kind of feeling. With the blending of the skies, I usually get a little bit stressed because I want the colors to blend together really well, and so I tend to feel like I need to blend really quickly before the paint dries. And then because I don't really know the order of painting things, and I don't quite paint fast enough in the right order, if that makes any sense, then some parts of the sky end up drying before I can blend lighter colors into it. And then I can never really get that kind of perfect blend that I'm trying to achieve. However, more recently, I've discovered that in blending, I don't have to always go for that kind of wet on wet kind of blend. Instead, I can just cover a layer with paint, let it dry, and then later come back with another lighter shade. And if I want to blend it together, then I wet my paintbrush and then blend in the edges a little bit. This way, it's not really a perfectly smooth blend, but then I still think that I like the way that it looks in the end. It is a little bit rough around the edges, but it also represents nature in a sense, in that nature and the landscapes that we see aren't perfect. So some of that irregularity is actually nice in some of my paintings, is what I'm finding. And then when I feel like it, I'll combine this with various parts of the painting where I'll go for that wet on wet smoother blend. Another aspect that I've been leaning into more in my paintings that you can see in this cover page here is that I do the first layer with blocking off colors where I kind of want things to be, and I do it pretty roughly. I don't really try to make it perfect, whether that's in terms of how straight my lines are or the color that I'm using, because I can always go back with later layers to change the color or add in the amount of detail that I want. So this first layer essentially serves as my sketch, and it has worked out well for me, I found recently, because I think that in addition to taking away some of the stress of the paintings and feeling like everything needs to be perfect and everything needs to be detailed, it also helps me to cover the white spaces of the background and not miss any parts, because that was a problem that I was having before as well. So for someone like me who does a lot of improvisation as I go and doesn't really plan ahead for my whole scene, I found that giving myself more flexibility and less pressure and blocking off colors roughly without thinking too much about it has been really helpful. I'm sure that my approach to painting is not going to remain like this forever, and as I experiment more, I'm sure that it will change, and I will keep you posted on what's working for me and what's not. I also think that I must be breaking some rules in terms of color theory and contrast and all of that, because I know that some people do an underpainting first in a certain color, and I think it's supposed to do something to make your latter layers more warm toned or cool toned or something like that, but I really don't know anything about underpainting or color theory. I kind of just have at it when I paint, so totally no idea what I'm doing, and I'm just going to adjust according to what I like and what I don't like from the results. Although one day I do want to learn more color theory, because I think it would be helpful for when I'm mixing colors, because right now I'm just going off of intuition purely, so sometimes some of my colors are a little bit strange. Speaking of observing the results of my experimentations and adjusting according to what I like, I have found that recently, probably just within the last month or so, I feel like my trees and plants are starting to look a little bit better. I have been trying my best to paint in layers and use different shades for more contrast, and I've also been trying to alter the leaves and branches and so forth in order to make it more irregular and variable, instead of seeming to always paint leaves or trees in the same way. And I think I have noticed a little bit of improvement, which I'm really thankful for, and I will try my best to continue to experiment, and I hope that my plants and trees and my paintings in general will start to look more like how I envision it in my mind. As I reflect on why I think some of my trees and plants and such look a bit better, I do think that one major reason is because I am actually being a bit more patient and actually allowing the layers to dry before I add on the next layer of paint that's in a different shade. I know that one of my problems before is that I was so impatient that I would just paint the next shade on the darker shade that's underneath that's still not fully dry, and so you can't really get that contrast that you want and the shapes that you want, because it kind of just mixes in awkwardly. And especially because I wasn't going for a blending look either, it was just this awkward mix of colors in some places and sharp contrast in other places, which made it really uneven. Another shift in my approach is that I have been trying to not make every single thing in my painting super detailed. I actually think it's better if some things in the painting are less detailed and painted a bit more roughly, and then only a few things have more detail. Because when I step back and look at the painting, if every single thing is too detailed, it's just too overwhelming. And I think that for a painting, part of what really contributes to the whole picture is having kind of almost like blocks of color or slightly undetailed patches to assist with the viewer's imagination while refining certain elements in the painting to kind of focus on. So I've been trying to kind of achieve that nowadays and think about what are the key points in my painting that I really want detailed. Like, for example, for this cover page, I wanted more detail for the Christmas tree. I wanted a bit more sharpness for the garlands that are around each of the huts, and a little bit more detail in some of the smaller trees. But then, for example, for the huts themselves and the snow, I just mostly used blocks of color and didn't really worry about making it too sharp or detailed. And I feel like that kind of combination brings the painting together better. However, despite realizing that, I don't think I have everything quite figured out, of course, and I'm still experimenting to kind of see what I like better. For example, if I want to approach my paintings with the background being more patchy with blocks of paint and then the foreground being more detailed, or do I want just specific items to be really detailed because I want to bring focus to that despite how close they are to the foreground or how far they are in the background. Those are all things that I haven't fully decided on, and I am just adjusting for each painting that I'm doing. And now for the calendar page, I wanted to continue some of that Christmassy theme and include some of the elements that were already in the cover page. So I kept that blue sky and some white clouds and snow. And then I mostly just improvised and adjusted as I saw fit. So I added in some vellum paper to make a December sign. I added some craft paper for some contrast, and then I drew in some snowflakes just for some extra detail to make this page prettier. It was this month that I suddenly realized that I haven't really used my acrylograph pens for a while, and I think it's actually because I don't know how to use them really well, and so I just tried again this month. However, what I learned is that these acrylographs don't work very well on gouache. Either that or I'm using it incorrectly. But as I tried to draw in these small houses on gouache, it would scrape off some of the gouache underneath, so it didn't seem to be the best combination. So I stopped after drawing in 3 little houses for this page, and that's okay though, because I actually found that despite there only being 3 of them, they looked pretty nice on the page, and I feel like there's enough detail on this page already that I didn't really need to have drawn more houses, so that worked out in the end, but I will still have to figure out how to use these pens in the future. Now for this next page, I am bringing back trackers. If you've watched some of my videos before, you would know that I tried to do habit and other trackers before, but it didn't quite work out for me. I would fall off of tracking. However, now that I'm going to be a mom soon and there's so much to keep track of, I feel like I should bring back trackers and trial different methods and give it another try. So I am doing that now, and I will continue to experiment with trackers over the next year or so and vary up the different styles to find something that works for me. Another aspect that I've tried before, then stopped, and now I'm bringing back is self-care bingo. I restarted it last month. Well, I mean, technically it's still this month because I'm filming this in November. But anyways, I trialed it again in November, and so far I found that having a reminder to do self-care has been really helpful, especially as I'm navigating all this change in my life. So I want to try to continue that and have either self-care bingo or another self-care page per month so that I can remind myself to take care of myself in addition to taking care of others. Now, as I go into setting up my weeklies, I decided that I would do another painting because I felt like I had the energy and the time to do it since I started so early, and because I'm spreading out the painting over several days, so it hasn't felt as taxing. So for my weeklies, I figured I wanted the weekly entries to be framed by some relatively simple but still Christmassy paintings at the top and the bottom. I wanted these paintings to be low pressure, so I didn't really dive into a full detailed scene for these paintings on the top and bottom, but rather focused on specific items. Like for the top, I did these Christmas baubles and some lighting, and on the bottom, I did Christmas presents in wrapping. And now for a flip through. Thanks so much for watching and listening to my random thoughts all the time. Please like, comment, and subscribe. See you soon!